Hi, I'm Beth from Sew Country, and today is day 2 of the Sage Satchel Sew Along. So yesterday we just talked about our materials we would need and how to prep them and get them ready and things like that. I didn't spend a lot of time talking about the hardware, so I apologize for that, but I will show you the hardware as we go along. To me, this bag doesn't have too much hardware for the actual bag, but you do need a couple pieces with the strap and the key minder and things like that. So let's go through day 2 tasks. What I would like is to have everything for the interior prepped. So I would like for us to make our slip pocket. So go ahead and pull out your slip pocket. You should have either 1 or 2 pieces for your slip pocket. When you get your slip pocket, just go ahead and fold it in half along the longer edges, right sides together. When you fold it like this, it's actually going to be 5 inches this way, and that'll let you know you have it folded the right way, which it really wouldn't matter too much. It'd just be a little off and different in size. So let's go ahead and have that prepped, and we're going to sew that in just a minute. Also pull out your interior zipper pocket pieces. For me, I'm just doing 1 interior zipper pocket. If you're doing 2, double what I have. But you will need a zipper. Make sure your teeth are 7.5 inches long. If you're using a already made zipper, your zipper will actually be about 9 inches, I think, because the teeth will be, there's more on the zipper ends. Does that make sense? So if you're using zipper by the yard like me, just make sure you measure your teeth. Okay, you will need your zipper overlay, and go ahead and have your pull on your zipper and your 2 zipper lining pieces. Also, pull out one of your bag's back or front interiors. If you're only doing 1 zipper and 1 slip pocket, you just need 1 of your interior pieces. If you're doing this on both, go ahead and pull out both sides. So we'll be working on that. I would also like for us to get done today our divider zip pocket. So for this, we would need another zipper. I think the teeth need to measure 9 inches on this one. I'm not positive. Just check the pattern for that exactly. And you'll also need your zipper tabs. All 4 pieces of your divider pocket. So 2 exterior, 2 lining. All of mine are the same color, but you'll need all 4 pieces. So this is what we hope to work on today. Another thing you might need is some double-sided tape if you like to use that. I typically don't like to use it, but I did just put a little bit on the back of this. My machine does not like double-sided tape. It gums up the needle really quick and then I get skipped stitches. If I see that happening, I will pull this off and get rid of it and do it the other way. So I have a little bit on there. I'm also going to have my ruler handy so that I can measure where these pockets need to go. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to work on our slip pocket. Super simple. Like I said, go ahead and fold it in half, wrong sides together. And then we're just going to sew a 1/2 inch seam allowance, starting on at the folded edge, down and over. Break our stitches. Make sure you back stitch here. Do it again this same way here. 1/2 inch seam allowance. Break your stitches here. You want to leave a little bit of an opening. You don't need to leave a very big opening where this is not a very thick material. You'll be able to push it through and turn it right sides out with a small hole. So after I stitch my 1/2 inch seam allowance, I'm going to trim that down, and then I'm going to turn it inside out, and then I will press this opening closed. Everything I'm sewing will be on a domestic machine. I will back stitch at the beginning and end of all of my stitches. I use about a 2.5 inch stitch length. Okay, now that we have our slip pocket sewn right sides together, turned. We have this opening. I tucked it in there. I suggest you take this over the iron and press it. I'm not going to just for the sake of the video, but it will make it look a lot better if you do that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this stay at the bottom, and so whenever I attach this to my lining, I'll close that there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to top stitch this top edge, and that will be my opening for my pocket, and then we're going to attach it to our lining. The pattern tells us we're going to come up 1.5 inches from the bottom center. I've already have my center marked, so I'm just going to lay my ruler down. So I'm coming up 1.5 inches. I'm now going to fold my pocket in half so I can find the center there. Just do a quick little finger press, and then I want to put it right down there in the center at that 1.5 inch mark. Now if you feel uncomfortable leaving it like this, you can get some clips or pins or whatever and put on there, but I feel comfortable just transitioning it over here, so I'm not going to put anything in place. I'm going to sew around the edges, the 3 edges, down here, across, up. That will close up my gap. It'll also attach this slip pocket to my lining. At this point, you can choose if you want to fancy this up a little bit, if you want to make a dividing pocket, which I'm going to. You could also attach some rivets for decorative features, or you can make it 3 separate pockets, whichever you prefer to do. Slip pocket is attached. I'm going to move directly into my zipper pocket, which is going to go right on the top here. My vinyl I'm using has a little bit of stretch to it. Because it has a little bit of stretch to it, I'm going to lengthen my stitch length and go very slow while sewing this. So I'm going to take it up to, I don't know, about a 3.3, 3.5, somewhere around there, and stitch around here. I'm going to be going slow so that I'm not creating a much pull and drag on this so it doesn't stretch out. Okay, for this step, what we do is we're going to place this zipper pocket overlay 1.5 inches down from the top. So I'm just going to use my ruler again, and I have my center marked here, so just place my ruler right there on that. I'm going to take off my double-sided tape, and you can find the center of the overlay just by folding it, or you can even eyeball it. It doesn't have to be anything complicated or anything like that. Now once I have the zipper pocket overlay in place, I'm going to stitch all around this exterior edge, all sides at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. This will be our first step, and then what we're going to do is we're going to cut out the fabric from inside this box up into until you get to those stitches. Do not cut through the stitches. So let's go ahead and start there. I always like to start on a long straight edge, so that way whenever I turn and pivot on the corners, I have a little bit of time to adjust so it meets perfectly with my stitches in case I'm a little off. Zipper lay is attached to the lining. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my scissors and just cut out this extra. And you can see your lines on the back. You do not want to cut into those stitches. We're just creating a hole for our zipper to fit in place. I have cut away the lining of the zipper box. When you look at it, you can see there's no lining showing there, and you can see on the back that it is not into the stitches. Okay, so that's what we got that part. So we're going to set this aside and we're going to work on our zippers. So place your zipper along the raw long edge at the top, and we're going to sew this in place. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance to sew that directly on, and I have it centered, of course. So now that I have the zipper attached to the zipper pocket lining, I'm going to do an extra step. This is not necessary. It just helps me get a better finish when I'm sewing, so I always do it. I'm just going to flip the lining back, and then I'm just going to do a quick top stitch an 1/8 of an inch away right along this edge, just to help everything lay flat when I put it together. Again, this is not necessary. So now you can see that it is a finished side of the lining here. I'm going to repeat these same steps for the other lining and the other side of the zipper. You can see now I have both of these attached, and this is the way it will look. I'm going to pull back out my lining with my zipper overlay, and you can use double-sided tape to attach along your zipper. I'm not going to though. I do not like to use double-sided tape, so I'm simply going to just place this here, and I'm going to center it. Get my zipper pull in there, and I'm going to center my zipper tape so that the teeth are just directly in the middle of that overlay. And then I'm going to top stitch all the way around 1/8 of an inch away from this raw edge, and I'm going to make sure that I have my zipper teeth centered underneath the overlay as well. So let's just do that first. Pull that down a little, make sure everything looks nice and neat, and let's start sewing. And now that I have this on here, I'm going to flip it to the back, and I am going to push my lining down and then just trim up this edge, and then I'm going to sew all the way around those unsewn edges. So now my zipper pocket is done on my lining. If you want, you can trim up your edges on the back here. I'm not worried about it because it won't affect the end. They're not in the seam allowance any. So now that we have this done, if you want to do your other lining panel like this, just repeat these same steps and you will have a zipper pocket and slip pocket on the front and the back of your interior. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take out our zipper for our dividing pocket, and we're going to start attaching our zipper tabs. I've already attached my first one on here, and I'm just going to show you how I do this. She does it a little bit differently, but the end result's the same. I'm just going to fold like I typically do and fold the zipper tab in half, and then bring both raw edges into the middle crease, and then fold it again, and just put that zipper in here and stitch across the bottom 1/8 of an inch away. And then I'm going to clean up those edges, and then I have my zipper tabs on the zipper for the dividing pocket in the middle. So let's go ahead and finish up our day 2 tasks by making our zipper divider. We have our zipper here, and we have our exterior and lining. Now my pieces are all the same, so it might be a little confusing for you, but basically what you're going to be doing is making zipper sandwiches, and just like a kind of like a traditional zipper pouch, except the very last step, we don't sew them right sides together or birth them. We're just going to baste everything together and have it that way, because it'll be, the raw edges will be sewn into our gusset. So I'm taking my zipper, I'm placing it right sides together with my exterior piece. That's the first step. I'm just going to baste this on. If you want to skip this and attach your lining too, you can go ahead and do that. Okay, zipper is attached right sides together with the exterior. I'm going to take one of my lining pieces now and put it right sides together with my exterior, making that zipper sandwich. I'm going to sew this on at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. And now I'm just going to flip these wrong sides together. And I have what you're used to seeing when you're making a pouch. Now the pattern does say to wait until the end to top stitch, but my brain really struggles with doing something like that, and I'm going to go ahead and top stitch mine now, just so I have it nice and neat there and my OCD doesn't bother me. Just a top stitch 1/8 of an inch away. Now I'm going to do that same thing to my remaining pieces. Exterior is right side facing up. My zipper is going to go right side facing down, so they'll be right sides touching. Line up your edges. Again, I'm just going to baste this part together. If you want to skip this step, you can, and just straight add your lining to it and do 1 row of stitches. Take that remaining lining piece, just line it up right on top there. Match those top raw edges and the sides. Quarter of an inch seam allowance. Open that up as well and top stitch. And so now we have both sides completed. And so what I'm going to do now is just have that zipper up at the top and match up all my raw edges. I'm just going to put a clip or 2 in place just to hold those there. And then I'm going to baste around the sides and bottom so that it is all one unit. I'm just going to do a basting stitch at 1/8 of an inch. Okay, I have my divider pocket finished. It seems like I do remember in the pattern she actually tells you to baste with a 1/4 inch seam allowance and not to trim that down. So you can follow that, of course. It's not going to be too big of a deal, but always follow the pattern and get the best results. So at the end of day 2, you should have your lining pockets and your divider pocket. If you're doing these steps, you should have them completed and done and ready to go. Tomorrow we're going to work on finishing the lining by attaching the gussets, and we may work on the flap too. I'm not for sure yet. But anyway, this is day 2. Please post your progress photos whenever you get them finished. You don't have to get them done exactly today, but when you get them finished to be entered in the giveaway, please post them under the link for this video in the Facebook event group. Thank you so much, and I will see you again tomorrow.